And if you could just introduce yourself.
I play keyboards in Alice.
My name is Anna Maria, and I am the founder and vocalist in the band Vajra.
What was the initial start?
Yeah, so we all have pretty storied histories.
I was just bored during COVID. Did a little demo, put it out, and it was pretty well received by the community. And
always had a thing for horror punk and stuff.
Something that started with me and a laptop during quarantine, and just like, oh yeah, you know, all those times I said, if only I didn't have to work my job all the time, and now it's like I could have time to do that. Well, now this is that.
How's it going, everybody? This is Tone Lopez filling in for Will Hamilton on the Heartfelt Horror Media Network channel. Sitting down today with a very special guest. If you could please introduce yourself to the people at home, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, hey everybody, and thanks for asking me to join you for this talk. I'm Panu De La Rocka. I'm from Finland. I'm a musician, and for the last 2.5 years, I've been working on my solo album. The album is called Nightmare Reborn, and it's coming out October 18th.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show, Panu. Really excited to have you on, talk a little bit about your new album, talk a little bit about your history as a musician. I guess let's start there. You know, how long have you been a musician? What are you playing in your project right now, De La Rocka?
On this album, I'm playing guitar and doing about half of the vocals, and the rest of the vocals are kind of like saved for different special guests from all around the world, I would say. But yeah, I'm playing guitar on every song in one way or the other. Like some songs I'm playing the leads, also solos, but at least the rhythm guitars, if nothing else. I've been playing guitar for, I think, something like 20 years, and maybe practicing singing for the last 10 years.
Yeah, so where did you originally start? Like, did you primarily start like in the psychobilly genre? Was there other stuff you were interested in before getting into psychobilly?
I actually started in metal bands. Like at some point I was a really big metalhead, but I always also loved like rockabilly music and rock and roll. So basically when I started playing psychobilly, it was with my previous band called Graveyard Bashers. We did 3 albums, and basically that was just, you know, like the metal stuff, the punk rock stuff, and the rock and roll rockabilly stuff just merging together, and then boom, basically I was doing just psychobilly like that.
Very nice. Yeah, what kind of metal was inspiring you when you were just starting off to play guitar?
Obviously, at the time, I was listening all kinds of metal, but let's say like also really extreme. Like I've played in like a thrash metal band, I've played in death metal band, and I've even played in a grindcore band. So I've done like these kind of like extreme metal things, but I don't know like what inspired me to play guitar. I think it was many things. I actually started out with trying to learn how to play drums, and I had this friend of mine who was teaching me to play some drums, but well, long story short, he was so busy that he couldn't do it anymore, like teach me how to play drums. I was so frustrated. And there was this one classmate who looked like a musician. He had a really big, this kind of like I don't know how to call it, but this really big hat always. Like, and I always think that the bigger hat you have, probably the more artistic person you are. So I asked from him like, hey man, could you teach me how to play guitar? And he was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so starting off, I guess, was Graveyard Bashers your first kind of venture into psychobilly music? Were you primarily playing metal grindcore stuff before that point?
Yes. I think that the whole thing was like I was trying to do like a psychobilly project of my own back in the day, and then this one drummer guy I was asking to join me, he actually asked from me like, oh, by the way, I have something going on right now, and maybe you would like to try and come play guitar. And I said yes. Then we kind of like tried if we can play together with this group of people, and then magically we just had Graveyard Bashers, and we started making music together. So that went on for 6 years, and like I told you before, we released 3 albums, and the last 2 of them were released by Lycansten from California.
So after this band ends, I think it was 2022 is when Graveyard Bashers officially came to an end.
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's about the point where, I guess, what made you want to go on and do your solo project after that, instead of maybe looking for another band to hop into?
I think that the main reason was that as a musician and learning guitar and learning to write better songs, more complex stuff, and you know, it's just a practice, like learning journey. So basically, at the moment when Graveyard Bashers started ending, I was actually at a really high peak of realizing new stuff and learning new stuff with the guitar, like new techniques, new writing techniques, and all this kind of stuff. So basically, I was on fire at the point, but then the band kind of like it just disbanded. So I decided that no, this cannot stop here. Like, I need to do something. I need to continue, and I need to do it on my own terms. That's basically what happened. And besides, I had a couple of songs I had written during the Graveyard Bashers days. I think something like 2017 or 18. I had 2 songs I have written, and I was just saving them for something. I had the name De La Rocka even back then. Like I had this one American artist design me this kind of like a picture, and I was thinking that maybe if someday I will release these 2 songs, I'm gonna use this picture as a cover for a 7-inch vinyl or something, and I never used it. But when we were finishing the last album of Graveyard Bashers, we were missing 1 song from the album, and I had written 1 song called Twisted Nightmares for my own use. So then I decided that, okay, maybe I'm just gonna sacrifice this song, and I'm gonna take it and we're gonna use it for the Graveyard Bashers album. And we did. And then I still had 1 other song I had written called Little Green Men, and that ended up being on this De La Rocka album.
Very nice. And I believe that's one of the first singles you put out under the De La Rocka name. I think, what, 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
Little Green Men and
Out of This World with
Out of This World, that's right.
Dax Dragster from Godless Wicked Creeps.
Yeah, so I want to get into that. You've put out 4 singles at this point, which all of them are going to be included on Nightmare Reborn when it comes out in October.
Yep.
It's a real, even looking at your album, which if you go on your website, you have the track listing, you have everyone that's featured, you have like a real who's who, I feel like, of psychobilly on here. Like,
I like to say like all stars.
Yeah. So how did that work? I guess, reaching out to, you have Titch from the Klingons, you have Dax Dragster, like you said, Godless Wicked Creeps, Vlad Urban, 66 Sinners. Your most recent single you just put out, Man with the Screaming Brain, he was featured in that. Vic Victor, Koffin Kats, Invasion of the Robots. And
yeah,
I think the one I'm most excited to hear that you haven't released yet is Rattlesnake with Peter Sandorff. I'm a huge Hola Ghost and Necromantics fan. So yeah, how did that work out? Just, reaching out and getting these people on board with your project.
Well, I think that the story was different with everybody. Like, for example, well, obviously, Dax Traxter and Peter Sandorff are both from Denmark. So when I was doing the songs with Thomas, also known as Dax Traxter, at one point we were discussing something about Peter, and then I think I said something really dramatic to Thomas, like, well, you know, it would be so cool to have a song with Peter, but he would probably never want anything to do with just some random guy from Finland. And then Thomas asked from me, like, do you want me to ask him? I'll write him right now. And I was like, well, do it. And then he did. And I think Peter answered Thomas in something like 30 minutes, like, yeah, sure. That's that. And regarding the other guests, like with Vlad from Six Six Sinners, I've known for a long time, and I think we've even discussed that whenever, you know, there's a need, he can help me out. Also Titch, I've known him for a long time, and he told me like years ago, like, hey man, if you ever want any help, just ask and he'll be there. So that's what we did. And with Vic, I had this very special song in mind, which in the end became Invasion of the Robots. And I just, you know, I just sent him a message in Messenger and told me, and I barely had time to finish telling like what's up, and he was already like, I'm in. So it was a little bit different with everybody, but and obviously one really important thing is that because we're all musicians from different pasts with different bands, everybody has a very different kind of like an approach to writing songs or recording or whatever. So basically with everybody, we had to learn the communication and how to finish the thing together. Like with everybody, it's totally different.
Yeah, I know you mentioned you just did an interview with Ash Rose over on her Death Arts 13 channel. You mentioned that it sounded like Vic wrote the lyrics for Invasion of the Robots and Titch wrote the lyrics for Beer, Blood, Rock and Roll.
Yeah, yeah.
In like collaborating with other musicians, were they given free reign to kind of write whatever they were feeling, went with whatever you sent them music wise? Did you have an idea for each song that you're like, hey, here's the theme I kind of want to go with here? Yeah, how did that writing process go, just collaborating with all these different musicians?
Yeah, well, the thing with Invasion of the Robots was basically the fact that I just had this kind of like idea in my head that, you know, because these days every place in many countries filled with different kinds of like robots. People have fucking like a cleaner robots, like vacuuming their home, like just going. And I think there's like a lawnmower robots and security robots, and it's just robots everywhere. Like even in Finland, there's like just normal like a small grocery stores, and they send the groceries to people with robots, and the robots just go around on the street like this. So I was just thinking like this isn't like science fiction anymore. This is real, and there's gonna be a day soon enough that robots are taking over everything. But not, of course, in the same sense that when I was thinking like maybe we should have a song called Invasion of the Robots. It sounds like science fiction. It sounds like something war related, like Terminator or whatever. But then you can also have like another message hidden like between the lines about this modern day thing. So that's my idea, what I told to Vic, and I gave him like totally free hands to do something with it, and he basically had a vision right away what to do. And regarding the other songs, for example, Man with the Screaming Brain, which you mentioned, I basically had this idea that we could do a song about something like well, the song is about, I think, like schizophrenia, but you can also make that to sound like more science fiction as it is, like the whole basic start point for the song is that there is this guy who wakes up and thinks that he's been in some kind of like accident, and he's hearing like or like there's two different people in one man's body trying to figure out like, why are we here, who are you, you have to get out from my head because I'm the one who is supposed to be here, and they both think the same, and then they try to figure out like what's going on, and that's what we did with that song. And I actually hired this one like American voice actor to do this kind of like old style accents and narration to the song like that's not included in the music video, because I think that it would have been a little bit boring to have this long intro in there, but definitely in the album version of the song, there is this intro narration in there. So that's something that nobody has heard before, but people are gonna hear it on the album. And what else? Yeah.
Just to go off of that, like that's the first thing I thought of when I heard that title for that song, The Man with the Screaming Brain. Is I went back to like, 50s, 60s, just old school sci-fi horror, Attack of the 50-Foot Women, Man with the Screaming Brain. And I feel like that's a very common theme, like in what you put out so far, is it's very sci-fi driven, little green man out of this world, invasion of robots. Is that the primary theme that people should expect for the rest of the album once it comes out?
I think that my main idea when I started doing the album was to have a little bit mix of like a horror, science fiction, just suspense in general. And I was thinking like the original idea I had with the album was that even the album cover would be like this kind of like a cover of a, I think you call it like a pulp magazine with these short stories about anything like exciting. And that was my original idea. And so that it would tie together these all different kinds of songs just about random exciting topics. But obviously it went a little different way in the end. Like I ended up with the voodoo theme with the cover art. But yeah, like it's not only about science fiction. And then again, I didn't actually write the lyrics to Planet Psycho and Out of This World, which were both written by Thomas Daxtraxter, and so he decided to go a little science fiction-y with those ones.
So for the remaining songs on the album that don't feature any other artists, are those are all just you, just your inspirations, lyrics and all, and you'll be singing on those ones as well, correct?
Yes. I want to give an example. Like there's one thing called one song called Night Shift, and basically, okay, once again going to the old movies or horror movies, with Night Shift I wanted to do this kind of like a cliche where in horror movies, if you get introduced to, let's say, a police officer or a security guard, and he's either like starting the job, like first day on the job, or one last day before retirement. If you hear either of these things mentioned by just some random police officer or security guard in a horror movie, he's going to die.
Yeah.
So I wanted to play off with that cliche. And basically the song Night Shift is all about this security guard in this very old kind of like a hospital building. He's doing his last shift, night shift, before retirement. And obviously he's never going home.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, I think of like I don't know if you ever seen Graveyard Shift, that old Stephen King movie, but that's kind of like what I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
So I
But
guess you pull from a lot of that though, like a lot of old horror movie tropes, science fiction tropes. Are there any like movies, TV shows, anything you saw that you think kind of inspired you to maybe go this way or in your writing has inspired you?
well, I would say that it's actually like a combination of many things. I'm a big gamer,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I see
I'm
the PlayStation symbol.
yes, I have PlayStation 5 at the moment, and I'm actually playing through Baldur's Gate 3 right now. It's a very big project, but yeah, like I've always been a big gamer and a science fiction nerd. I probably remember like the plot of every episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation and Babylon 5, X-Files, you name it. So there's plenty of stuff to draw ideas from, you know.
Oh yeah.
But also the thing is that in my writing I like to keep it like as far from real life as possible when it's possible to do so, because I think that there's so much horrible stuff going on in the world, like real world, real problems, and I think there's enough people singing about them, writing songs about them. But personally, for me, like just the same thing I want to do with the movies, games, TV series. I just want to get away, get my mind away from all the horrible reality just for a moment. And when I'm writing songs, that's exactly the same thing I'm doing there. And that's like a conscious decision, like trying to forget all the real stuff for a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me, like going through high school, going through college, stuff like that, like music was always a very great escape from like the current situation. Uh,
Yeah,
and not necessarily when everything is bad, but even when things are just kind of, when life is just going boring,
yeah,
exciting, like sometimes getting out of that and, entering this new world of like horror or sci-fi or, even on, other genres of music, if you're trying to feel happy, if you're trying to dance, stuff like that, like
yeah.
yeah, completely,
Exactly.
completely understand why maybe you don't want to think about the state of the world as it currently is right now.
Yeah, like I could basically like uh, write one song and put the entire state of the world in one song
Hmm.
and just sing in the chorus like it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna do that.
With your writing, this is something that in our other episodes, our normal host Will we usually talk about. How does it go with maybe songs that you were writing for this album that just didn't work out? How do you deal with maybe something you really wanted that maybe turned into a dud or you used to transform into another song that, did end up
Mhm.
getting featured?
Well, I'm not sure if there are those kinds of songs in there right now. Yeah, I have some demos that never worked out, but it was so clear to me, like so early in the process, that I didn't basically have to like throw it around like this. Am I gonna use this or not? Like I think it was like really clear which songs like belong to this album and which songs do not belong to this album.
Do you have any songs that maybe you're holding for, a future release, anything that won't be included here, but that you do want to include on a future album? Are you already looking to the future for future releases, or are you just kind of staying in the moment right now with what you're about to release?
Right now I'm just enjoying the moment, because I can tell you that the last 2.5 years, the whole process of making this album has been like really, really tough, like both physically and mentally, like maybe the most challenging time of my life. So I have to be honest, like right now I'm not thinking about any future releases. Like I'm sure that they will come when the time is right, but I've been waiting for so long to just start uh, kind of like a touring with the album in hand, like, because you know, we've been actually touring to the Finland for the whole year, doing gigs all over Finland, and obviously after every gig people come to me and start asking like, hey man, do you have an album I could buy? And I've been like, sorry man, not yet. So what I want to do is, now that we are releasing the album, I just want to play more gigs in Finland, and next year in at least England and in Germany. I hope that we will book some other shows to other countries too, but I'm looking forward so much to just finally be able to play the show, and when people come to me, I have the album in my hand, like, yeah, here it is. So I think that that's the kind of like a reward after this whole process, is that I just want to do some shows and enjoy it, and let's see what happens after that.
Very nice. Yeah, staying in the moment.
Yeah.
I guess going from that, you know, how do you enjoy like the road life? How do you maybe compare it to these last few years of sitting down, writing, getting everything figured out for this album? You know, you said that this is like a reward, going able to be out and tour and play in front of people. How do you
Yes.
enjoy life on the road?
It's really nice because you meet new people. Some people on the shows are there like just for you, but then there's always the people just come out of curiosity, and anyway you will get to meet new people, and I really like that, like just get to know new people and talk about anything. It doesn't even have to be like music related, and obviously that's the best chance to get just some time to hang around and enjoy with my bandmates, because you know, the band I'm performing with, they have their own bands and they have their own routines, their own life, and basically we don't hang around much outside of rehearsals. So that's also the kind of time that we can just enjoy it together and have some laughs.
I did want to talk about real quick. You know, we didn't plan this out. You have your Koffin Kats patch on your thing. I'm wearing the Koffin Kats shirt. You've worked with, there you go. You've worked with Vic, like you mentioned, on Invasion of the Robots. I worked with Vic, you know, anyone that saw like one of the earlier episodes on this channel, I was on for a song I released that he helped mix and master.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the interview you did on the Beer with Bear podcast with him, kind of talking about that song, talking about the music video and everything.
Yeah.
And I think I guess I wanted to bring up here was, you know, you mentioned the importance of like, I guess just reaching out. I think in one of your interviews you've already done, you mentioned that you were kind of, you know, thumb flipping over the send button before you asked, hey, would you be willing to do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really, and especially, you know, with your all-star list of everyone featured on this album, like it's a lot of reaching out, you know, it's a lot of just getting your name out there saying, are you willing to do this? I guess, do you have any more like insight into that, or any advice for, you know, maybe beginner musicians or people just getting into this genre that want to reach out to these musicians that they're hearing, but are like, they're nervous too, they're afraid to hit that send?
Oh yes. Well, what I have come to realize is that in our genre and in this psychobilly scene, people are much more like easier to reach than you would think. I've been to like some metal concerts where it's a, you know, like a stadium or something, and when people are let in the venue, they won't even like the artists come with fucking helicopter or limousine or whatever, and they make sure that when the show is over, like first they make sure that the band gets safely away from the venue before they even let the people out, you know. So that's the complete opposite of what we have in our scene, where let's say like 95% of the people are like really like easily reachable, I would say. And the only thing at that point stopping from doing like either collaborations with them or just even saying hi, the only thing stopping is like maybe the thing that I had in the beginning, like the fear of rejection, because like I was thinking like, oh, I'm already so excited about asking about this collaboration or whatever, and I've already planned stuff in my head. So what if I ask now and he or she says no? And then I'm like, oh shit, that's so embarrassing. so so I think that the biggest thing is the thing that you have just to, you just have to ask, and whatever happens happens, and you don't have to feel bad about it. Like but I just want to everybody to know that it's much easier in our genre than it is with some really big metal artists, I would say.
I released my first single like earlier this year, but with that, it was something that like I had been sitting on for I think like a year up to that point. And it was kind of the same thing with reaching out to Vic. I had grown up listening to him, which I'm not trying to age him. I've talked to him, and I've been listening to him since high school, and I was like, I can't email this guy. Like, he's this big rock star or something. And like you say, just in the genre, I was so surprised with, I guess, the lack of ego that artists have. Like, they are willing to help if you ask them questions. They are willing to give you advice, and I mean, in your case, collaborate and work with you on this, debut album that you're getting out there. So
and actually I want to mention that, because obviously when I wanted to do this whole album project, like it's not just one song, two songs, it's a whole album, like full album. And obviously I have a really precise kind of like a vision and expectation of what it should be, like how should it sound like, how should it flow from one song to another. Obviously then I have to be quite frank with the artists and maybe some of their performances, and trying to figure out some stuff together which I feel that doesn't work yet. So for example, with Peter Sandorff, when we were doing like our first recordings for the vocals, then I was like a little bit hesitant at first, like, oh, how should I put this into words? Like there's something that I was thinking that should probably go just a little bit differently with the vocals. But then I just asked from him like, hey Peter, like is it okay for you if we just forget all the polite stuff of trying to say this and that, and just like say how it is? Like, is it okay with you if we just talk like everything, like just direct facts and nothing else to get the song finished? And then Peter said to me like, yeah, like that's exactly what he would expect. And then I said to him like, okay, so well, these vocals, like I don't feel that they are there yet. And I don't know how this happened, but in the end Peter ended up going to studio for 3 separate sessions, and at the third time he called me a video call from the studio. That's the same studio where they record the Hola Ghost material. And he called me from the studio, and I was like, hey, we are here like now in the monitor room, and here's my mixer, this and this. And I don't remember his name, but he introduced everybody, and this one kid here is doing some assistant stuff, like making us coffee and whatever. And let me take you to the tour of the studio, like here is the recording room and blah 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 blah. And we have now recorded like 6 different takes of the vocals, and is it okay if we go through all of them in this video call?
Oh my God.
Because he knew that we need to figure it out when he is still there sitting in the studio and not after that. Like and I was so happy after that. Like I just told him, when we just listened through all the recordings together, the mixer guy was there and the assistant guy was there, and we just had the video phone call going on, and we were just all silent and listening to the different takes, and yeah, this will work. but yeah, it was a process, definitely. Like and we had to tell it how it is.
Yeah, and I think that's another important thing to remember is, I think we can get nervous as musicians. I guess I'll speak for myself of like, I don't want to be criticized in terms of like, I don't want I don't want someone to think I'm doing a bad job or like intentionally doing something like that. So I never want to come off like that speaking to another musician. And,
yeah.
Like you mentioned of like, hey, can I just say it like it is, like, instead of dancing around the issue. And that's what, got the result.
Yeah. Because I knew that this album is never going to be in the way that I imagined if we don't talk like directly, frankly, just how it is, and that's it.
Right.
Like we can be polite to each other later. Like now we just say it how it is.
Now it's time to work. This is this is what's going down.
but I imagine that for some people that could feel a little bit more strange, because everybody is their own person, and they are like used to different kind of like stuff, different kinds of approaches by other people. So I wouldn't be surprised if somebody someday would be a little bit put off on how I communicate. But I try to be polite, but still kind of like a direct at the same time.
Right. I guess moving into, kind of the end here, we're about, I think, 40 minutes in at this point. I've had a blast talking with you. I'm glad that we've been able to, discuss the upcoming album. I'm very excited for it. You have it coming out on audio CD and vinyl. Where can people watching this video go to check it out and, pre-order it?
That's a very good question. And first of all, obviously, I want to show the actual vinyl.
There we are.
So this vinyl comes in 2 different colors. There's translucent red and translucent kind of like a smoky purple. I'm gonna show it, the purple one, real quickly here. But anyways, people can go and pre-order this from my official website. This is the purple one. I think it's really, really nice. And the red one is too, believe me. So people can go to my website, which is www.delarocka.com. And there's also the CD version there that people can order. And the CD version comes with 1 bonus song. So there's some kind of like a reason to also collect the CD. But also the album comes out at the same day, October 18th, on streaming. So whatever streaming service you're using, is it like a Spotify or Apple Music or then something else like Tidal, it's gonna be in all of them.
Nice. And you currently have, we mentioned you have 4 releases out right now. They should be on the same streaming platforms, yes, like Spotify, YouTube.
Yes.
So people can get out there and listen to what's going to be on Nightmare Reborn right now. As soon as this video is over, go look up De La Rocka.
Yes. And also about shipping, like I do it all by myself, but I ship worldwide, so you don't need to worry about that.
And another reason to get that bundle, save on shipping costs. Don't get the vinyl now and then say, man, now I want the CD too, and spend another, just get them both right away, right off the bat.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. I'm very excited. Once again, this comes out October 18th, Nightmare Reborn from De La Rocka. Thank you again so much, man, for coming on. This has been a great time. I've loved here in stores.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Great.
Yeah, and I look forward to hear, what you have coming in the future. Oh, and also you're looking currently 2025 trying to book around Europe, correct?
Yes.
Where can any bookers maybe get a hold of you? Website?
Yeah, also from the website, there's a contact form. So that should work. And about next year, like I mentioned before, we're playing in Germany and in UK. And some shows are already booked for Finland, but there's plenty more space in there. So
nice. And this will come out early October. Do you have anything big for the end of the year that you want people to keep an eye out for?
Actually, I was thinking about releasing something nice for streaming, like in December. I'm not gonna tell anything else, but something nice for the holidays, like a Christmas present maybe. But also we've got some shows coming in Finland. 3 more shows for this year in Finland, and the biggest one probably of those is going to be on 26th of October, like a Halloween show here in Finland. We're playing together with Banane Metallic from France, Test Pilots from Sweden, a pony named Olga from Germany, and then a couple of other bands from Finland, Buzzkills, where Titch actually is singing, and a band called Gallows Dance also. So, and also on that show, it's gonna be like both the album release show and I guess we're celebrating my 40th birthday at the same time.
Hey,
so Dax Dragster is coming to Finland to play with us on stage, and we're probably going to do a little bit Godless Who Get Creeps and maybe some Johnny Nightmare too on the stage. Something very special, like that's gonna be something really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like the place to be if you're in Finland. You're going to be posting information about like where it is, everything like that, up on your socials, I imagine.
Yes.
Awesome. And what are those social, like people can find you on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anywhere else that you'd like to shout out?
I guess those are the main ones, and the handle is at De La Rocka Music on all of those. So I hope you can find me from there.
Very nice. Once again, Panu De La Rocka, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. I'm really looking forward to that album coming out.
Thanks for inviting me once again.
My brain is screaming.